All right, welcome everyone to September 2020 Reiki call. My guest tonight is Janie Frederick of DJF Enterprises. She is a CPA, and our topic is tips for your Reiki business, whether you're starting or a little ways on down the road. She has some really useful information to share that I'm excited to talk about. So welcome, Janie.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, yes. So um, many years ago, Janie helped me get my business set up. She set it all up for me on QuickBooks and told me what accounts I needed and then taught me how to maintain it. And I did that for a few years, and then I got too busy, and then Janie came over once a month and did that for me for many years until she finally got uh, very busy, and then trained the person who's currently doing it, who is in the next room working away on that and other projects for me. So it's always wonderful to have assistance, especially with things that maybe you don't like to do or don't want to do. So, um, so I'm going to start off just by asking Janie some questions. And if you all have questions at any time, you are welcome to join in. So was there anything else you wanted to say about yourself, Janie, before we get started?
Well, Karen and I have a fun background. She started in finance and then into kind of a Reiki.
Hey, Janie, can you get
Yes.
closer to your microphone or something?
Okay.
We really
Okay.
can't hear you very well.
If I need to, I can get my headphones in. My headphones tend to pop and squeak. So, can you hear me now?
It's better, yeah.
Okay. I'll just move forward. You'll just see all the close-up shot of me. How about that? Is that better?
Yeah, that's better because we do want to hear you.
Okay. Well, Karen and I, she started in finance and then moved to kind of a counseling and Reiki business as she got older. And I started out in ministry and went to accounting and went to finance. So she and I have always had a lot in common and just a lot of love for one another. And I love her business and I love the Reiki business. I think that I'm glad to see Karen successful, and I would hope that all of you have an opportunity, if you are planning a Reiki business, to be successful. And the things that we're going to talk about today are the things that can help you maintain a really good relationship with your business and with your money. And that's the best thing I think to have in any business is a good relationship with your business, you as a person.
Yes, that's a good way to think about it. So, okay. Well, one of your first suggestions was to create a business plan. So, when I read over those notes, I thought, oh gosh, that sounds really hard and intimidating. And oh, I have no idea how to do one. Actually, I think I have done one in the past. I certainly haven't maintained it. Um, but you wrote something in here about it even just being a couple of sentences. I thought, oh, I could do a couple of sentences. So
Yeah.
say a
And
little bit more about
a
that.
couple of sentences would be, the why of why you're in business. And if you start your business with the why, then you're going to be coming from the heart and with every business decision that you make. So start with the why. Why are you in business? Write a sentence. Why do you care about having a business? And what do you plan on accomplishing either for yourself and for your clients in your business? I think that is the simplest business plan that you can have. And that, depending on how intellectual and detailed you want to be, you can detail each of those sentences and what that looks like for you in the way of how you're going to get financed and what you're expecting to do for yourself, if you're going to need to have a certain amount of income, if you're going to, what your plan is for starting a business. But first, start with the why, and write down a sentence just on a piece of paper that you can put on your mirror. Why am I in business? And what do I want to accomplish with my business? 2 sentences. Put that on your mirror as you detail and you learn what to do. Then make those details. And you'll, if you're with it every day, you think about your relationship to your business, and the intuition about what you need to do will come through. And when that comes through, write it down. Write it down immediately. I need to talk to so and so. I know that I can go to the bank right now and I can get that bank account. So just you fill in the blank, but those 2 sentences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like who are you doing this business for?
Yeah.
Who will your customers be, or clients, whether you want to refer to them as customers or clients.
Right.
Oh, here was a good question. How will I fund this business before I make my money back?
Yeah, that's a good question. Not everybody can start a business and get money right away. And if you don't have a strong customer list and you're building a customer list, you may need to get financing. Do you have a partner? Do you have somebody that's willing to keep you afloat? Do you have a bank account, a savings account? Have you planned for this? And how are you going to pay for the business? Period. I like to pay myself a paycheck every month. And if I don't have enough business, I can't pay myself a paycheck. I just have to put it all back in the business.
Mm-hmm. And that's pretty typical for beginning businesses, that for some period of time, you put the money back into the business rather than giving yourself a paycheck, to pay for things that your business needs. Like in a Reiki business, you got to have at least one massage table,
Yeah.
maybe more. I mean, at this point, I'm needing to replace massage tables. I think I must have about 8 at least. I don't know. They're at my office. They're at my home. Uh, yeah, they're at Reiki Circle.
Yeah.
So yeah, even just replacing those and other equipment that you need.
Yeah.
If you're going to have a Reiki business, you really need to have a computer and a printer. You can't just run your Reiki business off of your phone.
And you also need to have a location where you're going to put that table. Is it going to be in your living room? Are you going to keep it up every time you have somebody come over and do Reiki? Are you going to travel with that table and go to somebody's house and do Reiki for them in their living room? Are you going to set it up at church? Where are you going to do your business? So that's another question that you need to ask yourself and
Mm-hmm.
make the arrangements for that.
Yeah. Well, and then you bring up, if you're going to have a business in your home, you need to know what the regulations are in your subdivision and also in your city. Is it allowed to have a business in your home? And if you're pretty small and only seeing, 2 or 3 people a week, that is probably not a problem. But if you grow to seeing, maybe 8 people a week, maybe everybody is going to wonder why people are coming and going at your house. And at some point that might become a problem.
And
So,
I think that's a little later down the line there as far as city and
mhm.
state
Oh
and
yeah.
federal regulations. Those are things that you'll need to know about.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to get caught off guard, having one of your neighbors complain and report you, and then you have to have to deal with that. You may have to go to court. You may have to go to the homeowners association. You may have to go to the city. You may have to go to a state official and explain yourself if you haven't explored those technicalities, and they can catch up to you. I've known many businesses that have had that occur. So,
Yeah. Well, that doesn't sound like fun.
no.
Okay. All right. And then you talk about do the analysis. Some people that are starting off in business don't know that they have to spend money, in order to make money, and that they had to declare their business property. So, one of the things that I find really interesting in my city of Kansas City is that at my office, I have to pay taxes on the furnishings in my office, which seems like such a strange thing to me. But that is a requirement of the city of Kansas City. So every year they send out a form, and I have to list the value of the desk, the massage table, the bookcases, uh,
Yep.
whatever I have in there, the lamps, and then they depreciate it, and then I have to pay taxes on it. So yeah, Patricia looks really puzzled. I think
I
it's
don't know what is that tax called? I never heard of it. I mean, I lived in Missouri,
Personal
so
property tax.
oh, the
It's
person.
a personal property tax for your business.
But I thought that was just for your car.
Well, your car would be among those if your car is owned by your business. But if your business owns equipment, that is part of your personal property, and you do have to declare it. And the city will assess it. If they'll say, okay, well, you owe us $500, even if you don't even own $500 worth of equipment, they will assess a tax. So it's always, if you get that in the mail and they say report your equipment, report it. It's better to report your actual equipment than have the city assess a tax on you based on what they think you probably have in equipment.
Well, I heard. I don't think they have personal property tax in Florida. I know they do in Missouri, but I didn't know it was on the office furniture.
mm,
So I did have a business in Missouri, and I didn't pay personal property tax on my furniture.
Yep, you got lucky.
I don't know. City of Kansas City, I've been paying it for
Actually,
years.
that's a county tax, Karen. Typically, that is the property tax. That tax
Jackson County.
Jackson County, correct?
Okay.
And depending on what county you're in, most counties in Missouri will charge a personal property tax. You can't get your car licensed without it. So
Yeah. So it's another reason to keep track of all this stuff. So I have a QuickBooks report, and I just print off a report of my um, furniture under the, what is it, the assets,
yeah,
the
it's
tab under
fixed asset.
assets, the
Correct.
furniture. So then it says, like what year I bought it, and then I'm able to fill out the personal property tax form too. And then they figure out the depreciation. They tell me the depreciation formula. And I mean, so it's not very encouraging to buy new stuff from my office. So
Yeah.
buy it cheap, buy it used.
It's true. Very true. I mean, and that's good business practice anyway. You want to be prudent about what you buy and how much you're willing to spend. You want to buy a $4,000 computer that you're going to use half of the time. That's not really. It's just not a good business decision. So when I say do the analysis, this is where you look at really what you can spend and what you want to spend. And I'm a real manifester from way back. I don't know what you guys think, but about those kinds of things, but I believe that when you need something, put it out in the universe, and it will show up for you. But you got to keep your eyes open. You got to pay attention, and then it shows up. And you can get some really good stuff. I have some great stories. Maybe someday Karen and I will have an opportunity to tell you some of those stories. I don't think that's tonight's topic, but you want to pay attention and get the deals that you can, and save money where you can, because you really want your business to be the focus, not paying. You don't want to have to fuss about paying taxes or be in pain about that stuff. You just want to be able to make the money that you need to make your business work to give the gifts that you are here to give on this planet. And if that's to do a Reiki business, that's your gift to give. So use your resources wisely.
Yes, then you get into federal, state, and city obligations, you know, regarding the taxes that you have to pay.
Yeah.
You know, since I live on right near state line, and my business is on state line in Missouri, and then I live one block into Kansas. I get to pay Kansas tax, Missouri tax, and Kansas City earnings tax, as well as the Johnson or Jackson County, I guess, personal property tax. So 4 different kinds of taxes that I have to pay for my business. And you know, you got to make sure that you're filing for those and paying those. And, you know, that means you have to keep track of your income expenses, which we're going to get into in a minute. And then, you know, what kind of licenses do you need to have? Does your city require you to have a business license? You know, some cities do and some don't. So that would be important to check out. And let's see, Janie, you said the Small Business Administration in your state is a good resource.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're on the cusp of starting a business, or even if you've already started your business, Small Business Administration is a great place to go. They will know all of your obligations, city, state, county, federal. They'll know those obligations that you have. They'll know that whether or not what you're selling is a product that or a service that might require sales tax. Most products you'll be charged sales tax on. Most services there's no sales tax, but in your state that may be different. Here in this area, absolutely not. You're not going to pay sales tax on services. It's a little odd to do that. But if you're selling oils or anything else along with it, those you'll be wanting to charge sales tax for.
Oh, sales tax. Yeah, that's another. So my Reiki business, I have some Reiki product like crystal, CD, singing bowls. So I have to pay the city of Leawood quarterly tax. And I have a resellers. What is it? What do we call it? Resale license?
Resale, yeah.
Resale license.
Retail license.
Retail. Okay.
Retail seller.
Couldn't remember. Okay, so it's called a retail license in Kansas because I teach in my home in Kansas. So I also have to collect tax on items that I sell and then pay that tax to the city of Leawood. And if I'm late, then, you know, then there's penalties and interest on that.
So how many of you are getting overwhelmed?
Oh, well, not yet, not yet. Hey, we got more stuff to cover. Like,
wait, we're getting there.
okay, hey, how about your liability insurance?
Yeah.
Now, so I have my Reiki liability insurance through Massage Magazine, and that covers me for like trip and fall. So for example, I had a Reiki client come to my office, sit in one of my chairs, and the 4 legs went out from underneath her and she landed on the floor. Luckily, I gave her Reiki right away, so she did not get injured. But if she had gotten injured, then the insurance would have covered her for that. So you're not likely to get sued by a Reiki client, you know, for doing something wrong unless you're, you know, breaking that Reiki ethics. But you do need that trip and fall. I also had someone come to Reiki class and slip on my driveway in the winter and fall. And again, she was okay because we gave her Reiki right away. But you want your liability insurance for that, as well as I also have business liability that I got through my homeowner's insurance that covers all my business equipment, like this computer that I'm working on, my webcam, my printer, all the massage tables that I have stored here, you know, my office equipment, all of that stuff. So I have a separate business liability policy, and I just called up the people that have my homeowners, and they arranged that for me. Yeah.
I was getting my liability through the Nurses Association, and what I found was they had general liability for offices with that massage therapy policy. And I couldn't believe how much cheaper it was than I was paying. It was like a quarter of the price. So while you still might need the professional liability, for the general liability, that was such a steal. I mean, ICRT did a great job finding them. I got to tell you, that was a gift.
Yeah.
Good, good.
And good, Patricia. That's, I mean, you really need to do your homework when you're, you know, exploring those kinds of expenses, and make sure you're with a reputable company, and you know, that you're getting a price that you can afford.
Yeah. Yeah, the insurance through Massage Magazine, through the ICRT, is only about 150 a year. But something that is important to check is I heard, I don't know if this is true or not, that they only cover you if you're a Reiki master or above. So if you are a Reiki 2 person and you purchase that insurance, you want to talk with them and make sure that they are actually going to cover you. So that would be important. Okay. All right. So then Janie talked about brainstorming about all the numbers, putting them on a spreadsheet. I used to know how to do spreadsheets when I was in finance, and I can use them now if someone sets them up. But, you know, even if you just write it out on a piece of paper and add it up, you know, like what are all these things going to cost you? Say you are renting office space, you know, how much is that going to cost? And a lot of times you can sublease from someone. For example, you might contact a massage therapist and see about subleasing their space, because they probably are not using it 7 days a week, and there may be a day or two that you could sublease it, or possibly even pay as you go. Or contact a chiropractor and, you know, offer services out of that office. You know, lots of economical things, which is a lot cheaper than going and getting your own office and office space. Okay, well.
There's also, I was exploring for myself, there's a group called Office Works, and it's WORX. And those are shared spaces that you can rent. And some, you know, if you're looking for a place to go regularly, that might be something to look into. But there are places that do just that for small businesses or entrepreneurs.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Got 190 a month. I was like, wow, that's not bad. At least you're in Kansas City. So.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's a good price. Yeah, I mean, I've been subleasing my office for $200 a month. So, okay, separate yourself from your business. Yeah.
Yes.
Janie helped me do this a few years ago. I really probably should have done it a long time before.
I was telling her forever, you got to do it. You got to do it. And finally she did it.
Well, okay. All right. So I procrastinated. What?
Yep.
Anyway, Janie made it easy. I mean, all I had to do was go to the Secretary of State website for Kansas. And then she told me how to fill the paperwork out. That probably took about 20 minutes. And then I went and got a federal employer identification number, EIN number, on another website that she told me about. I did all that. It took me all of 30 minutes. And all of a sudden, I was an LLC. Woohoo! And why would I need an LLC, Janie?
Well, and before we go any further, Karen did a lot of that herself. She made the choice to get on those different websites and do that herself. You can do that. Some people are really intimidated with that idea.
You told me how to do it.
Well, yeah, I did. But I also use a company called CorpNet, and they will put all of that together for you. They look at
Called
the
what?
state CorpNet, and I that's the company that I use when a company needs to set up all their paperwork. Um, Rather than have me go to all those different websites, I just contact CorpNet, and it isn't
Corp.
very expensive.
Like,
Corp,
yeah.
CORP, with a capital NET, CorpNet.
Oh,
And if you were to do that through me, I would contact CorpNet with your information, and they'd set you up. So it's
huh.
kind of a cool thing. The reason that you want to separate yourself from your business, Karen, um, there are a lot of things that can happen in business. You can be audited, you can be sued. A lot of things can happen, and your money in your business needs to stay in your business. And you need to separate yourself so that all the risk that you put in your business is on the business. It's not on you personally. If somebody does decide that your business, is, oh, you're just out of line, you're not doing what you should be doing, you're working in my neighborhood, and I have a homes association, we're going to make sure that you pay up for that. Well, they can't go after you personally. They can go after your business, but they can't go after you personally. That's why you need to have be a separate entity from your business. You are one entity and your business is another entity. And it's good practice. You see it everywhere. A lot of people are just sole proprietors and they fill in a tax return on their personal tax return, and they say, well, I made this much, and these are the expenses I had, but it's all blended together. If you separate yourself from your business, how you file taxes is completely separate from actually being a separate entity. So you want to make sure you're a separate entity.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to do that all the way around. You want your business income and your business expenses to be separate completely. You want a separate bank account and you want a separate credit card. You don't want to have that be mixed with your personal business, with your personal credit card and your personal checking account. Those have to be separate. And it's good bookkeeping anyway to do that. And if you're mixing your personal expenses into your business expenses, then at the end of the year, you're trying to figure out, well, was that business? Was that a personal expense? And if you can't tell, an IRS auditor is going to say, nope, not a business expense. If you can't tell, if you aren't real clear that a business expense is a business expense, and you do get audited, for instance, and both Karen and I know people who have been audited. If you get audited, if you get audited, and you can't say this was a business expense and this was a business trip, and here are my receipts to show it, or here's my accounting to show it, they're going to go and say no, that isn't a business expense, and you're not going to be able to.
Unless you send a lot of Reiki. Remember that audit back?
I remember that audit, Karen.
I will never forget that audit. I sent a lot of Reiki to that auditor, and Janie
Yes,
came and helped me out, and
yes, you did.
she helped me right off. I had a business trip that I thought, oh, maybe this business trip to Costa Rica, maybe I really shouldn't make it a business trip. Maybe I should make it personal. And then I changed my mind again and made it a business expense. Well, the records were messed up, but I sent so much Reiki, and I guess she decided she liked me and Janie. So she helped me write it off, and I'd set this intention that the IRS was going to pay me $800 or pay me, out of the audit. And so, yeah, they paid me $800, and that went towards paying Janie for all the time that she spent helping me get my records looking better, since they weren't looking as good as they could have that year. I think they've been better ever since.
I think So.
Yeah, but you really don't want to get audited. That is not fun.
And you know, even if you do get audited, if you have clean books
Yeah,
and you know
not a
where your
problem.
receipts are, it's not a problem. You just collect your receipts, they add up. This says this was the business expense, and here's all my receipts for my business expense, and you put it in a stack. The software today, you can actually keep it on the software. In the software, you can download the receipts and keep it all in one place in a file in your computer. And so if you ever are audited, you just say, and then typically when you're audited, they'll say, well, we're looking at this expense, and this you have like this huge amount on telephone. Tell me why your telephone is so high. And you have this expense on travel. Tell me why your travel is so high. And you just need to demonstrate that this is what you were doing. And it was a reasonable business expense. If you're mixing your personal with your business, and you can't separate personal from business, you can't say this was a reasonable business
Mm.
expense, the IRS is going to disallow it. And you don't want that to happen. You really don't. If you
Yeah.
go on a business trip, make sure you do business, you know. If you're going to claim something, just do some business while you're there. Make it legitimate, and then that way you don't have to worry about lying about it or anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was a workshop I took in Costa Rica. Anyway, yeah, business structure. Talked about LLC. What does that stand for? Limited liability corporation.
Limited liability company, and that's
Company.
what you are, Karen.
Right.
It's the simplest form of business setup, and a lot of businesses like you and me, that's what we do. We set ourselves up as an LLC. My husband and I have a partnership, an LLC partnership. So we file as husband and wife. Karen is a single disregarded entity. She actually files her business returns on her personal tax return, although it is separate. She has a separate tax ID number on her tax return, on her Schedule C. Um, if you want investors, people to actually support you financially, and you want to have shareholders, you can be an S corp. S corps are a little bit harder to establish. They have a lot of rules that you'll want to know before you go to that type of business entity. But if you're going to have, like, say you're going to get the whole family involved, and you want the family of shareholders, that's a good way to do it, to do an S corp. And like I said, there are a lot of rules with those different types of businesses. But if you know what you want, um, setting it up at the beginning, start with an LLC. That's a really easy one to do, and it protects you. So
Yes. So I just decided to make mine Karen K. Harrison LLC because that made it super easy. That way, if people write checks to me, it could just go to Karen Harrison and the bank would still take them. That way, if I want to change my business in some way, um, which I have over the years. I started in private practice and counseling back in 1993, and then I started my Reiki business in 2000. So my business has changed focus and direction over the years, and having it be my name just makes it super simple. I'm not tied to any one modality. So
yeah,
the next thing you get into is have a solid marketing plan, and that's not really the focus of our talk tonight, but it's certainly something very important to consider how you're going to market yourself. So that could be a whole nother topic about how to use email marketing, how to use TikTok. One of our teachers is doing a daily dose of Reiki on TikTok. I think that's pretty cool. How to use Facebook and Instagram, how to use texting programs, which I've started doing to keep in contact with my Reiki students, you know, what services to provide to your students after class, you know, so they'll want to come back and take another class from you, you know, like my student Facebook group for Reiki and my twice a month Reiki circle. And then I put all of that on Meetup. So that's a whole nother thing that you'll want to consider. So yeah, and Janie talks about LinkedIn, and while I'm on LinkedIn, I don't know if that's done anything great for me, but maybe I am underutilizing it. So then you talk about, yeah, what you were just saying, keep your income separate. You know, a few years ago, I interviewed a number of people who had started Reiki businesses about how they were keeping track of their income and expenses. And some of them had more sophisticated programs, and some of them had shoe boxes. You know, the shoe boxes for income, the shoe boxes for, you know, expenses. And, you know, like, wow. Or a spreadsheet, you know, a spreadsheet is an upgrade from a shoebox. So that's good. But yeah, I
And
think,
today, yeah, in today's world, there's, you know, you really have options. The QuickBooks and zero, it's XERO is zero. Um, there are
zero,
two
like ZERO,
XERO. And
XERO.
I
Oh,
think the thing I sent you, it says zero, but it's actually XERO. It's pronounced zero.
but it's
And
X and then zero. So that is
XERO.
oh,
And
XERO. Oh,
it's an interesting word.
okay.
But
XERO. So that
QuickBooks
and
Online
QuickBooks
yeah,
are
those
the,
two, the two top programs, and they're all cloud-based accounting. So you don't really need to worry about what's on your computer. I mean, I use QuickBooks Online myself, and I have my business, my CGF Enterprises, and my personal account thing on the QuickBooks Online. And I have clients who are on QuickBooks Online. No matter where I am, I can access their books. They can access their books. On QuickBooks, you can access from your phone. You can set up your, you know, credit card reader on your phone. So when you're out and about, if you don't want to bring your computer with you, but you have your phone and you want to take credit cards, yep, there's Karen. She's got hers.
yeah, there it is right there. This QuickBooks app. I can process my Reiki sessions and Reiki class payments right here on my phone, and it automatically goes in and updates my QuickBooks. So
Yep.
that's pretty handy. It is a little bit more effort than Square. You know, I have to enter more stuff. But yeah, you got a question?
Yeah, so I don't do quick, give everything to the accountant. So the thing about it is, what you're saying is if you do have QuickBooks, that application will take payments for you.
Yes.
Yeah, there are apps that you can add to QuickBooks Online.
And then
Yeah.
do they charge, you know, a fee for
Oh,
processing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh yeah. Nothing's free.
No,
And
if you're going to accept credit cards, it's a credit card fee. But you set it up to your bank account. Another reason why to have a separate business account and a separate personal account is that you can do bank fees into your QuickBooks, so that you don't even really need to think a whole lot about what, you know, when you've spent money, that it goes in the right category. If you set those up initially in a category, you give them a rule. Say if I pay, give me an advertising company that you work with, Karen.
an advertising company.
Yeah, somebody who advertises for you.
Well, WebKC does search engine optimization for me.
Okay, so every time a charge comes in at your bank from WebKC or from your credit card from WebKC, you have a rule that says that's advertising. That's the category that goes in. And then when you receive your bills, you can actually receive your bills online. Um, there are apps that you can actually have the bill itself go into your QuickBooks automatically. There's a lot of options that are available. Zero as well.
Well,
I think QuickBooks has the upper hand. I think they're the winner, but Zero's the next most popular. Did you have another question, Patricia?
no, I'm using one called Collect in Stripe right now.
Okay.
So,
I'm
and
not
I
familiar with them.
just put the numbers in my phone. So,
Mhm. Yeah, so here, let's see, I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, I can create a new sales receipt, and I think it's backwards here on this. It's confusing. Anyway, I can select an item and I can choose, I have these things pre-programmed in. I can choose whether it's a Reiki session or Reiki class balance, and or I can change the amount of Reiki product. Um,
gotcha. Okay.
and I can add all that, and then I add the person, and then it automatically goes right into my QuickBooks so that it's not necessary to enter that again manually. And
Right.
and Janie recently was telling me that my bank and the credit card that I use for my business should be able to connect with QuickBooks and automatically dump that information in every month. So going to be looking at getting that set up to also save on more data entry time.
And with data entry, there's always the issue of potentially mis-entering information if you're entering it twice. But honestly, if you even if you have a shoebox, even if you're just working with a shoebox and a little square that you stick on your phone that goes to some other program like what you have, Patricia, it's as long as you're keeping track and you know what you're spending and you know what you're receiving, you need to be able to produce for yourself, at least monthly, I believe, some kind of profit and loss statement. So you know what money you've brought in and what money you've spent, and you know if you've made any money. And if you haven't made money, if you haven't made a profit at the bottom line of that, you need to ask yourself why. And there may be a perfectly reasonable explanation for it. You may be brand new to your business and you may still be catching up so that you're putting money in, more money in than you are taking out of the business. But you just need to be aware all the time about what your ins and your outs are of everything that we talked about today. You need to know what you're bringing in and what you're putting out so that you know that you're being prudent with your funds and that you are in your business to make a profit. The IRS will give you a pass for a couple of years. If you haven't made a profit in a couple of years, then if the IRS sees your reports go in and you're continually having losses every year, they're going to start looking at your books and kind of don't want the IRS looking at your books. If you're
Means
flying under the
audit.
radar, right? You don't want to have an audit. You want to have reasonable expenses. And then if you have reasonable expenses, if you are audited, then you can say these were reasonable expenses. It's reasonable for you to have and pay for a business program on your computer. It's reasonable for you to have a computer. It's reasonable for you to have a printer. It's reasonable for you to have somebody help you. That's a reasonable expense for a business. You can pay your children. I think Karen paid Elena to file and keep track of paperwork. You can, those are reasonable expenses. And you do need to make sure that you are ready to spend those funds to make sure that you're making a profit. If you're spending all your time trying to figure out what you're doing here with your accounting and you don't like accounting, that's taking time away from doing what you are choosing to do. Why are you in this business? Are
Mm.
you in this business to be overwhelmed with paperwork? Probably not. You're in this business to give your gift of Reiki, to give healing to the people that show up in your life. And so you just need to look at those things and determine what is reasonable for me to spend to do this, and what's reasonable for me to do, and what's reasonable for other people to do. What can I give away?
Well, that's one of my mottos as a business owner is, as I've grown, is everything that I don't like to do, that I don't want to learn how to do, um, hire it done so that I can spend more time doing the things that only I can do, like teaching the Reiki classes, like writing articles for the Reiki News magazine. But I am very good at hiring assistants, so I have about 5 of them, and they all do little different parts of my business. And certainly I could have one do all of that, but it also is a safeguard for me in case something happens with one, like say one gets sick, or one decides to take a job out of town for 6 months. All those things have happened in my business over the years. And then having another thing that is really important that's not on here, Janie, is a really good procedure manual. I have found that invaluable because when I first started hiring assistants, I would hire one. I'd spend all this time training her. And then she'd work for maybe 3, 4 months, and then she'd quit. And then I'd hire another one, and she'd work for maybe 6 months, and then, she'd quit. Um, so I started writing everything down, like these are the procedures that need to be done. Here's how to do them, written in a way that, like, if I were giving somebody keystroke directions, this is what you need to do. You need to hit, go to this website, put in this password, hit this key, step-by-step instructions for everything, and then keeping that updated, so that if anything happens, you know, that it can be picked up. And that, I mean, I've been in business for a lot of years now, so I've had plenty of incidences where that has happened. And I'm really happy to have that procedure manual.
Yeah. And I might point out also, Karen, that in the first few years of your business, you were doing this all yourself. You
Yes.
did all the pieces for yourself. You chose to do that, and it's a good thing because you knew what you had,
Yeah.
and you did the research. And I think that's a really, regardless of who you hire, if you hire somebody to help you, you're still responsible for your business. You're responsible for doing the research yourself. If I tell you go out and become an LLC, it's up to you to do the research. You might hire me to help you do it, but still, even if you hired me, it's still up to you to make sure you've done your research and you're comfortable with the decisions that you're making in your business.
Mm, yeah. So again, kind of going back to the whole QuickBooks thing, where Janie really helped me was figuring out, okay, how do I set it up? What categories do I need? What accounts? And then it's a lot easier to maintain something than to just figure it out. And QuickBooks has the option of having it online, or you can buy software that you can download to your computer. The software is cheaper in a way. Um, I don't know. I think when I was still buying the software, it might have been a couple $100s or something. I don't know how much it is now, but you could keep it for several years. But then every few years, like at least every 3 to 5 years, I would have to buy new software because it would have changed so much. Um, what is the cheapest QuickBooks online right now, Janie?
Well, I would say yes. If you want to buy the desktop version, there is a desktop version, and you can put it on your computer and just work it. I have a client who has 6 businesses. Her husband has a business. She has a consulting business. Her husband's a doctor. They have many businesses. And so for them, the QuickBooks desktop version, she can have as many businesses set up in that desktop version as she wants for the one price. And she can use it for a few years. And she still has access to the bank feed, to the credit card feed. So all of that and the rules that she set up. So that is an option if it's a couple $100. For me, it's $400, maybe $450 now, because I buy the version every year and I get all kinds of, because I'm a CPA, I get a special program that's for CPAs. I can open your books. I can open anybody's book in my QuickBooks. I can do payroll and all of that.
Well, for the beginning business, so didn't you say it's like $45 a month or something?
Yeah, there is, and I'll pull that up as I was gonna. That's why I have 2 computers open.
Yeah. Luckily, I have a cheaper fee because that did seem kind of steep, you know, more than I wanted to pay.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, you can look into that.
Yeah, I offer as a CPA, I can offer wholesale pricing, where I would set you up in your QuickBooks, and there's different levels of that. I usually recommend Plus. Advanced is really expensive. If you're in the Advanced QuickBooks, I'm looking at it, it's $150 a month. That's way up there. It's like a QuickBooks Enterprise. I wouldn't.
No, what's the cheapest, Janie?
Cheapest.
The cheapest, isn't it? Didn't you say 45
Currently,
a month?
$40.
40.
Currently, the cheapest one is $40.
Okay, well, that ought to do for mostly what we need for a Reiki business, I would hope. The cheapest one, $40 a month. Okay. That still sounds like a lot, but
It is. It is.
okay.
I think that it is. The one that I offer is 45, and it's the QuickBooks Plus, and it provides you with like inventory and stuff like that, all kinds of stuff. That's the one I typically recommend. The wholesale pricing I can get you some percentages off of that $40. So if you want the essentials, which is the lowest level, but it's pretty simple, and it'll fill your needs.
All right, let me see. Let me see if I'm understanding you. The cheapest one is 40, and you can get people a little bit cheaper price on that.
As a CPA, if you go through a CPA, if you go through a provider, I can get you wholesale pricing.
Okay.
If you go directly to QuickBooks, it's $40 a month.
Okay. All right. And then you just have to look and see what the current price is if you want to buy it outright and download it on your computer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that's another option, or you can do the zero.
And then, I don't know the cost of zero. That's all online. They don't have a desktop version.
All right. Yeah. And I think it's super important to be inputting the information in every month and not doing what I've heard some people do, which is wait until the end of the year, or worse yet, wait until March of the following year and then all of a sudden be overwhelmed with a whole year of stuff to enter. I mean, that's just a nightmare. And then if you have questions about stuff, how are you going to even remember? I mean, I don't.
And that's what I like about the QuickBooks, and the Zero as well has the bank sheet, that you can download your banking information, and it automatically dumps it into your computer software. So your reports should show up. I mean, you may need to go in and code them and find the ones that aren't coded properly. But for the most part, if you have rules set up, it will dump them in the right account, and you can punch out a report every month. So,
all right,
how much money you make.
Yeah, then I just have my profit and loss report, and I can give that to whoever is preparing my taxes. And, you know, I've got all the information there for my LLC. And then also another thing that I do that we haven't talked about is because I have my business in my home, I get to write off some of my home expenses, some of my utilities, some of the um, square footage of the house. So I keep track of everything that I am spending and put that into a spreadsheet. And then I get to write off a chunk of that. So that's another pretty nice perk of having a business.
Yeah.
So, well, we're kind of getting to the end, and here's some good resources that you recommended is joining business organizations, chambers of commerce, the Small Business Administration in your community, and a website that I'd never heard of called www.businessknowhow.com.
A lot of great articles. It's just a lot of great articles.
Well, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, gosh. Well, you all are troopers. You stayed with us this whole time. Yay, give yourselves a hand. Do you have any other questions?
I have one. I started looking into the business license in Lenexa, and it's stressing me out because it said that you need like 300 practice hours like a massage therapist does. Do you know anything about that?
Karen?
No. For a Reiki business, you need to have a business
There's like a
license?
separate license for massage therapy, and it considered Reiki to be a subset of massage therapy, and said you needed to have like 300 hours from like an accredited school or something like that.
Well, that's interesting.
I would put it in as say that you're a wellness coach.
Yeah, that might be, it might be your terminology.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Because it also said you needed like CPR and first aid training.
Massage therapy.
Probably good to have anyway, but
Huh. That is not something that I am familiar with.
Okay.
yeah.
It had a whole bunch of different things listed under massage therapy, so hopefully there is another type that is not that one.
So
So
did
was
they,
Reiki actually listed in under massage therapy?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
and Lenexa, oh, I wasn't aware. That's not good.
I know.
I'd heard
Oh,
that
100 hours. God.
Lawrence had passed some sort of law like that, but I'd not heard anything about Lenexa. So I guess I'll talk with William Rand. He works with the National Health Freedom Coalition to try and keep Reiki free from being regulated with rules like that. And if you're able to give me the URL for the website that has that information, then I can pass that on to him.
I can do that. Thanks.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
maybe he can send it on to the National Health Freedom Coalition people. And
Yeah. My other
And
question
Ashley,
about the license. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, Ashley, I think that's great that you mentioned that. I think that you guys have an association that you can tap into, and Karen is a good resource for that those kind of questions. There are questions that I wouldn't necessarily know the answer to, and you have as a Reiki group, you have a lot of resources. You have people who have done this, like Karen, for 20 plus years, and are adept at understanding the rules and regulations that your particular business has in the states that you work.
okay, any other questions? Okay, well, let's again go over your contact information, Janie, in case someone would like to contact you for some help.
Yes, it's in the chat, and my business name is DJF Enterprises, and that's my husband and myself. We started our business a long time ago as Dawn and Janie, so that's DJ Frederick, DJF Enterprises. Simple, easy. The email is djfwork262, as in the length of the marathon, at gmail.com.
And works
And
is plural.
works is plural, correct.
Okay. All right. And then your phone number?
It's 816-718-3206.
Okay.
And it's in the chat box if you want to look.
All right. Okay. Well, wow. This timing worked out well. We did all that in an hour. So thank you all so much. This recording, I will be posting it on my YouTube account. It also will be going on iTunes and Spotify and Google Play. And I think those are all the places that I have it posted. So in case you need to go back and re-listen to any of it, you know, again, thanks for hanging in. This isn't maybe the most exciting topic, but it's certainly important to know about and to consider if you're going to have a successful business.
And Karen, you're welcome to put that document up on your site as well. That's fine. The one that you were asking the questions off of.
Oh, the notes that you made.
Yeah, you go right ahead.
Oh, okay. Maybe I can put it as a link in Reiki articles. Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, I think that would be good. And then you can
Good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll get that posted within the next week under my Reiki articles as a blog.
Yeah, and good luck to all of you. If you're already doing your business, good luck to all of you. I wish you well, and go give your gift.